What are some of the metrics that can help you support hiring in data-driven decisions? As you've probably realized by now, hiring is a huge field and it's incredibly complex. Never forget that while on an Excel sheet it looks like how many people, it's just a number. I need 10 people of this skill set, I need 20 people of this other skill set. Ultimately, these numbers are made of individuals, and each individual has their own aspirations, they have their own personalities, they have their own preferences, and the hiring team has to work within all of this, never lose the human touch, and never make a candidate feel, you know, really unpleasant during this entire experience. Because ultimately, you want to have a long-term relationship with your selected candidates, but you also want to leave a positive impression on the people who have not selected. So hiring is a really complex area, but thankfully there are some things which can be reduced down to numbers. And industry benchmarking actually is a big area where you can still choose to sort of ignore the human element of the people that you're hiring. So industry benchmarking can be done for skills and capabilities. It can be done for salaries. Let me discuss both of these separately. What you will find usually is that you are not the only company who is hiring for a particular skill set. So let's say you are an IT company which is hiring Java developers. You will find that you're one out of thousands and thousands of other companies who are also looking for similar skill sets within the people. And therefore, it is important for you to realize that what does a Java developer in company A mean versus a Java developer in company B? Because what you will see on the CV are just these two values. You will see Java developer and work experience in company A versus Java developer and work experience in company B. And now, as a hiring team, you need to understand that in the first case, this Java developer not just has programming skills, but they also do a little bit of quality testing work, and perhaps they're a little bit more, in direct communication with the client, and therefore perhaps have better communication skills. While in this other company, a developer is just doing back-end work and is just following the orders that are given to them by a client sitting in a different location. So now, depending on your nature of work, you will be able to find which is the right company that you want to target to find the right set of people. So these kind of industry benchmarks of capabilities and skill sets are really important. And then you, as we discussed before, you don't want to pay more for a particular skill set, and you also don't want to pay less. In either case, you will be, really not at the optimum level. If you have underpaid your employees, it will end up being a short-term relationship where either the person will find better opportunities outside and leave you, or they will spend a few months feeling, perhaps that they are not fully being compensated for the kind of capabilities they bring to you. And this might impact their performance. And while on the other side, if you're overpaying for a particular skill set, you're essentially just directly hitting your margin on that work. So these kind of industry benchmarks will help you maintain parity with your other competitors in terms of your costs and also in terms of your capabilities. Now, an important input into this benchmarking is your skill role mapping. So as we discussed in the previous example, it's important for me to know the nature of work that a person will be performing. So my developer talks to a client, does testing, and also does programming. This helps me map the required skills to the required role. And it's only with this apt mapping that I can do the right benchmarking. So skill role mapping is another very, very important area, which really helps you lay the base for the kind of selection process that you need to implement, for the kind of expectations you need to share with the candidate, and the kind of sourcing you need to do to find the right candidate. Now, once we found these people there are a lot of other data points that you can bring in based on the performance of similar people within your organization. And these correlations that you find between these different data points can really help you optimize your focus areas. So, for example, let's say that I have a large workforce which has a similar skill set. Maybe I have a large team of designers, perhaps doing animation work. I have a team of 100 animators working within my company. I can evaluate their performance and then see whether there are any trends and any correlations that I can find between high performers and where they have studied or where they have worked before versus low performers. And we find that typically my high performer has studied in this kind of an educational institute and has so many years of work experience, while a low performer does not have the same attributes. These kind of correlations can really throw up some interesting insights that help you filter out perhaps unsuitable candidates right at the beginning of the hiring pipeline. And this is just one of the correlations you can find. You can similarly do these correlations between how long a person chooses to stay with you, what kind of people feel happier in your organization, what kind of people feel more committed to their work, are able to take the extra step, have better learning abilities, etc. And the more data points you pull in, the more you will find that you have chances of being able to provide these useful, actionable insights to your hiring team. So from a very, very large area, now we come to a much smaller focused area, which is your assessment scores analysis. I've already spoken about this before, where I spoke about how this is something which is usually a large data set, and the data in this area gets accumulated very, very fast because there are a lot of people who are going through each stage of your assessments. And because these are scores, these are very clean data points where there is an output associated with each score. And therefore, the analytics team here can do very quick analyses to see which are the kind of assessments that are most effective in filtering out people, what are the kind of assessments that perhaps don't do a very good job, what are the kind of assessments that have conflicting results and perhaps need to be relooked at, and these can really help you create an overall more efficient and more effective hiring process. While this is all on the selection side, now we come to the candidate experience side. So doing a lot of surveys and trying to understand this survey feedback is very critical. These surveys do not need to be restricted only on the hiring side of things. You might want to take feedback from the candidates who you selected and ask them about how their whole experience was. But you also might want to take feedback from the candidates whom you did not select and ask them how they felt and whether they agreed with your decision. You might also want to take feedback from the people who have joined you and have been working with you for a while and see how they feel that this hiring experience helped them during their initial days in the company. Similarly, surveys can also be run with managers who you are hiring these people for, and this will help you build in more data points which you can then use in your correlations, because these managers will be able to give you feedback on the performance of these various kinds of people that you're hiring. So these are just some of the metrics that you can create. This is a huge area, and we hope that we will be able to offer you, many more detailed courses in this area. But this is a great starting point, and you will find that the hiring bit is an area where you have a lot of data to work with, and you will be able to make very, very quick impacts, which are quite visible.